March 11th. I'm here with Anmol Bal. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Anmol.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate you having me.
Of course, dude. Love to have you on. We always have good conversations when we get together.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. I miss living with you.
Yeah, I miss living with you too. It has been a while. I think the last time we saw each other was like the weekend before the lockdowns.
Yeah, CrossFest. That's typically our like meeting point, like twice a year. Like you're at CrossFest, I'm at CrossFest. But
Dude, that's the meeting point for most of our like fraternity alumni too.
yeah, definitely.
Like I only see them twice a year. Well, I did except 2020, but for the previous 4 years, it was just like once in March, once in October. We'll see you there.
Yeah. I'm
Punk.
coincidentally wearing my crossed sweater right now.
Nice. That's good representation.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah. Dude, I hope that festivals come back soon. I I saw my friend posted on Instagram, Life is Beautiful Vegas.
Yep.
Did you see that lineup?
Yeah, I just saw the lineup yesterday.
It looks great.
So you going or what?
Wasn't that the one with the really terrible shooting? Wasn't that
So that one was close to it, but the one where it actually happened was I think a country festival, like
okay?
Route 66 or something like that.
Got it. It was the same
Um,
venue.
yeah, it might have like same venue or like really close, but I think they were saying that like that shooter intended to go to Life is Beautiful first, but for whatever reason ended up not doing it. Uh,
Terrible.
Dude, crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, are you planning on going to Life is Beautiful?
We'll see. So I've actually been to two before. So great festival. It's sweet. Like it's in Vegas, like kind of in the like older downtown, like arts district. So there's a bunch of really cool art everywhere. Like you can stay at hotels that are like basically like just walking distance into the festival. So it's pretty unique. I don't know if I'm gonna go this year, but I could see myself going again some other time.
Dude, I could see myself going this year. It looks like I there's 10, 15 artists on there that I'd like to see.
Yeah, man, I've been itching for some live music too.
I've been itching for some live music as well. It's just a whole year since, a live concert, and that whole environment is so awesome. It's tough to let it go.
Yeah, seriously, like there's just no like outlet for that anymore. You just gotta like sit at home, like you can like watch live sets at home and stuff, even with friends around, but there's nothing like just like being there.
No, there's no outlet like that at all right now. Do you have like another example of an outlet kind of like that?
Well, any like outlet that's like as social as that is just like gone. Like bars, clubs, you can hang out at the park, but
That can
uh,
only go so far.
yeah, seriously. Um, So yeah, honestly, I haven't missed going to clubs like really at all. For like I already have shitty ears, so like when I'm in a club, like I really can't talk to anyone. It's just like
Yes.
loud. You're just there. You just drink
Dark.
a lot, go home, which is fun in its own right. But of all the things I've missed during quarantine, I think clubbing is like the least. Um, Festivals way up there though.
Way up there. Festivals are really high. Going to the gym isn't even that cool anymore. I mean, it got a little bit better, but that was pretty bad for a while too.
Yeah, I haven't been since lockdown started. Just been like hiking. Typically I snowboard, but even snowboarding this year has like been pretty tough to get out there. So I've only been like one time,
What's tough about getting out there this year?
just because like no one wants to go. Everyone's like pretty locked up.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at least before the season started, there was like it was kind of like up in the air whether or not a lot of these resorts are even going to open. Um, but honestly, I like yeah, they most of the resorts like did open, and if I took full advantage of it, I totally could have snowboarded like just as much as any other year. But I just ended up not doing it.
Dude, that's how I feel like for a lot of things in 2020. Like if I had gone into March thinking in terms of like, okay, You can work from home the entire year and you're probably not going to die of COVID. The world is your oyster right now. But for some reason, just like me and I think every other person in the world did not have, especially if you're older, it's tough. Like COVID is definitely a threat. But if you're younger, it's like you're probably not going to get sick and die. So you can work from home now and you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that mental blockage of like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, just, I don't know, kept me in its grip in 2020.
Dude, exact same here. Like, I feel like typically the way I work is like it's just like a flick of the switch. Either I'm working or I'm having fun. Like so like the idea of like traveling somewhere and then working from there and chilling there also sounds great, but I think in practice I would be a lot worse in my job. Um, but a lot of people pulled it off. Like, for example, like a lot of people I know have been going to Hawaii and like they just like canceled their lease, like moved out to Hawaii for like the last like maybe like 3 4 months, and they're just like kicking it out there.
No way. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think the American spot is to go to Hawaii, and then all the Europeans are going to Dubai.
Dubai.
Yeah,
I would much rather go to Hawaii.
yeah, I'm with you.
Wow, Dubai, what a weird spot to go. I feel like, okay, I mean, I don't know. But
Yeah, and I know like for a lot of like people in England, like travel restrictions were like super lax to go to Dubai, so a lot of people just went for it.
got it. That makes sense. Whereas if you go anywhere else in the world, it's like you're gonna have a tough time getting back into England.
Yeah, totally. And then same thing with US, like pretty easy to get into Hawaii. But you know, anywhere outside of the country is a little tougher.
Yes, too. Oh, that's gonna be international travel. That's gonna be interesting to see how that comes back over the next couple of years. It it's not gonna be steady or like immediate at all.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they're gonna like make it mandatory that you have a vaccine before you fly, or for anything else. Like maybe even like festivals, like we were just talking about. Like, what if you had to like provide proof of vaccination in order to attend?
You know what's interesting is uh I I did a couple trips to Africa and their vaccine cards, like you're not allowed to enter the country of Uganda if you don't have a vaccine for yellow fever and the documentation for that.
Wow.
So like these vaccine passports are not, new that I you have to carry one if you want to go through African countries legally and go from port to port. You have to carry one of those. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting once, possibly employers are like, if you want to work here, we need you to be vaccinated. And that'll be crazy. If it comes to that, especially if it's like crossed as like we only accept vaccinated people, I'm probably gonna get a vaccine at that point.
Yeah, dude. If Cross put that mandate down, it would I think it would convince even the most stout anti-vaxxers.
Yeah. Yes, if
It's a
they enjoyed house music for sure.
for sure. It's a steep price to pay not going to Cross.
Seriously. And in all seriousness, like crossed is just going to be, I think, a small like a small portion of that. Eventually it's going to be like public. I don't know about that. That's a huge step. But then, getting into certain education systems, you might have to get a vaccine to go to school at this education system, or it'll be interesting to see what regulations pop up over the next year.
Yeah, even stuff like wearing masks. I feel like once everyone's vaccinated, people are still going to be wearing masks, like for sure on public transit, like really public places. So I think it's just a new part of life. Like it's always going to be around now.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, what do you think? Are you gonna keep your mask on next year?
Let's see. So I'm not vaccinated currently. Once our like age group opens up, I'll probably send it. And then on public transit, I could see myself going either way. I'm usually a little bit more like lax about that kind of stuff. Like so I remember right before lockdown when like COVID was known, but like not really any action had been taken. I take the like the underground, like it's called Muni up in San Francisco. Into I used to take it into work, and there was a time where like if anyone coughed or sneezed, like everyone would just like turn and like look at them. Um, yeah, the shame was crazy. Like I would
Crazy.
suppress like any inkling of a cough or anything like that. So you know, I think that's probably gonna like remain for a little bit. Like I think even once people are vaccinated and stuff, there's just gonna be like a general like unease. But I don't know. I think as time goes on, more and more people will kind of just like revert back to normal.
I think so too. The thing is, right now, if you're not wearing a mask, you better not sneeze. You better not sneeze or cough or let any fluids come out of your mouth at all. Because then it's
Yeah.
like one time, I forgot to wear a mask, and it was like it's not like phone keys wallet. It's like
Yeah.
those things I've been, embedded into my brain over the last 15 years. Always have your phone, keys, and wallet. And then this last year, we've had to add mask to that. And just like, that's a whole nother article of clothing that, we have to add to our attire. And, anyways, I had this urge to sneeze once when I didn't have a mask in my vicinity, and I just felt like there's no way I can do this. Like everyone here is just gonna be like, what are you doing, man? You're just about to kill. Like, give me that look of shame.
Yeah, the shame is crazy.
Shame is crazy. I remember in Trader Joe's there was like a 60-year-old woman who coughed. She had a mask on and she coughed, and automatically everyone looked at her, just like, because like that's the first thing we notice at this point in time.
Yeah, man. The I think that like public shame factor is like it I think it gets a lot of people to fall into line. Like I'm sure there's some people that don't want to wear masks, but because of that shame, they're gonna end up wearing it anyways.
Yes. Yes, they are.
And yeah, like you said, like I've forgotten my mask around like pretty often, especially in the beginning too. And so like it's like now like a mask is almost like a chapstick for me now. You like got to have a like one in your room, one in your car, like one in your backpack. Like just can't. You always got to keep one on you.
Yeah, just have your spares around the house whenever, so that they're there. One in the car when you forget yours to go when you're going driving or something.
Yeah, for sure. So have you been able to get out and do anything lately?
Lately, well, last month or January was pretty crazy
Hmm.
with the lockdowns. And then not too much. I adopted a puppy.
Right. How's that going?
That's going pretty well. I work from home, so that's possible. Next week, I'm gonna have to go into the office, so that will be interesting how I'm gonna deal with that. But it's been good. That's been my adventure. I'm gonna go backpacking with her, I think, this weekend.
Nice. Just you two?
Just us two through Idlewild, and I'll just see how that goes. Should be pretty fun for her, I think.
Yeah, man. That sounds like a great trip. Do you know what breed she is?
Cattle dog terrier mix.
Okay. Yeah, I saw pictures of her. She's adorable.
She's adorable. She's very friendly and playful, and she's super high energy, which is kind of gnarly, but luckily I'm home, so it's not too hard to handle. Have you been up to anything lately? How's
Dude,
the Bay Area right
uh,
now?
Bay Area's pretty good. It's been quite locked down for a while. Like like uh, food places are still good for like takeout and stuff like that. But I think just either this week or last week they reopened indoor dining.
Wow. Here
Um,
too.
yeah, so I think it's probably the same as down there. It's like super limited in like capacity, but it's still open. Um, So I haven't like tried it or anything yet, but yeah, it's like slowly opening back up. And then at Golden Gate Park, I live like maybe like 4 blocks away. Like months ago at this point, but like they painted circles in the grass to kind of like indicate like each group should like stay in these like designated circles. And so like eventually like the park got like super full, like in terms of like, people there, but everyone kind of just like stayed in their own group, like in the circles, and like didn't really like mesh with like other circles.
Wow. And that worked?
It seemed to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Was your group in a circle?
Yeah, yeah, we were definitely circling up.
Hell yeah.
Um, yeah, like, dude. So one thing I was thinking of, like I'm pretty lucky. Like I have like a pretty like solid group of friends up here. But like, can you imagine like if you lived somewhere and didn't know anyone prior to COVID? Like, it's impossible to meet new people.
Impossible. Literally impossible. It is publicly frowned upon to go up to any stranger and speak to them. Or not, maybe not speak to them, but it's not the way it used to be.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Um,
and for a person to come into a new city and try and assimilate, that's just terrible.
yeah, it'd be brutal. Ha- have you had like kind of like a COVID click, or like people you like typically like still kind of see because you're kind of in the same circle?
Yes, I've had people over the last probably 6 months with Asha. I've still with the COVID click, I would say, but now it's starting to open up way more. Now it's like, because before, the COVID click thing is very real. Like,
Hmm.
you have these several people, maybe not. How many do you have? Like
Uh,
10,
yeah,
15?
about 10.
Like, not more than like 15
Hmm.
people that you're willing to contact over this last year to meet with regularly, which is like, I feel obligated to do that just because I know how, like, other people probably don't feel comfortable, and then they like, I don't, it's just not correct right now to.
To like expand bigger than that, right?
Yes, exactly. So you've been with your COVID click very strong. That's a great nickname also.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been like hanging out pretty often. So like my place in San Francisco, and like our friend group is kind of like the home base for everyone.
Nice.
So like people will still come over, our maybe like I said, like maybe up to like 8, 10 people. We'll come through, we'll still like watch movies, like board game night, whatever. But yeah, outside of that, like it sucks because there's so many people that I really want to maintain connections with, and it's just hard to do right now.
It is hard to do. It Yeah, like, what would you do? Like, you can't go to a bar, you can't go to a restaurant. You can't,
Yeah.
well, you might now, starting this week, be able to. And even then, maybe like they are taking their social isolation very seriously, and you want to respect that.
Yeah, you feel kind of bad even asking. Like
Yes.
you're like, "Hey man, like totally cool if not, but was just wondering." And it's like, I don't know. Probably just wait until everyone's kind of up and running again.
Dude, yes. That I'm we're all gonna wait until everyone's up and running, but just like you said, you feel bad even asking. Like,
Mhm.
it's like we're at a point where we all realize that some people hold this like very seriously, so we don't want to be like caught being insensitive or uh, reckless. Would it?
Yeah.
Guess it's reckless, but then it's like things like the death rate for COVID-19 of people our age is fairly low. It's like, do you know people who've caught COVID?
Yeah, I know a couple people.
Did anyone in your clique ever?
No, no, no one in my
Wow,
clique.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, not at all. So been pretty lucky there. One of my buddies actually, so he works like in a lab at a biotech company. So he has to get tested every week for COVID, like before going into the lab. So like he's kind of like our like mind canary. Like, every week if he's clean, like a pretty good assumption that I'm clean too.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, so he like because he's part of the COVID clique, of course. Yeah, so I'm seeing him pretty often.
That's nice that to have that reassurance there too. It's like, all right, well, negative now.
Yeah, if I mean if he's good, like I'm basically always good. Like, dude, some days I like straight up don't leave the house.
Really? I mean, you don't have to if your house is home base. And
Yeah, yeah, I know. Like ideally I should be like at least like stretching my legs or like going for a walk or something, but like damn, it's gotten like sedentary these days.
oh wow. Do you think your office work is going back anytime soon?
So up here, like I think the general assumption is that no one's committing to a hard date to come back in, but I think everyone's going to reassess it like July 1st.
Really? What
Uh-huh.
what makes you say July 1st?
They just like send out communications every now and then, like at my company, and they throughout this whole time they've been kind of targeting. So first, July 1st was like the target date to return, but this was months ago before like second or third wave or whatever happened. And so once the vaccines got started getting dished out, they said, okay, let's see how the vaccines go, and then we'll reevaluate July 1st. But they send out surveys and stuff saying like, they're basically asking you, are you comfortable even returning once we do? Um,
No.
yeah, I know. It's like at this point, like I feel like I'm better at work from home than going into the office. Like I don't even know how to talk to people in a professional setting anymore.
Seriously, it's like the transition into working from home was so hard and just it was not it wasn't a fluid transition for me, and I feel like for a lot of people it wasn't that fluid.
For sure.
I think going back into the office would be way worse.
Yeah.
It's
It's gonna be a rough one.
it's going to be so rough and nobody want I mean, I'm not going to say nobody wants to do it, but I don't want to do it. I think a lot of people don't want to do it. And it seems as though many people feel that their productivity is at either the same or not, if not better, working from home.
Yeah, definitely. I think for myself, I when it first started, my productivity was like maybe a little bit lower than when I was going into work. But like once I caught my rhythm, like I feel like I'm more efficient now. And also just like being able to like just like take a break and like go to your own kitchen and stuff is just like awesome. No commuting, like it's a pretty good
It
deal.
it is awesome. Not, no commuting, no, being able to have a snack or like eat whenever you want, and that to be like literally you can eat whatever you want. So it doesn't have to like, if you want to eat something, a healthy snack, you can have a healthy snack. If you don't have to have a healthy snack, but you have the choice because your kitchen is, downstairs,
Yeah.
instead of like being like pretty much having three choices of like r- different restaurants or fast foods that are close to your work or your office.
Yeah, for sure. And like it's crazy. So like the adjustment that we're talking about was like, it was like moderately difficult for us, but I feel like the people who had it the hardest are like the boomer generation, right? Like imagine working at an office your entire life and then like at the flick of a switch now you have to work from home. Like it might be tough for like a multiple reasons, right? Like maybe you're just not used to like communicating over like Zoom and like chat more, and then also like that freedom of like no one like looking at like around you or like no one really like supervising you. Like they might get like really let loose, and like lose productivity.
You think they're more susceptible than us for the I
Ooh,
I think
that's
for
a
the
tough one.
tough transition, yes, but the no supervision one's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like I don't know. I sometimes I feel like the generations have almost like flipped a bit. Like and what I mean by that is when we were younger, I remember my parents always telling me like, "Oh man, like all you do is play video games, like, you're always on your phone, like this, that." And so I think now that we've grown up and technology has been such a prevalent part of our life for so long, I think our relationship with it is a little bit more balanced. Like I know when I'm like on my stuff for way too long, or I know when I need to kind of like adjust. But on the other side, like the older generation is not used to using the technology, and now they have it at the tip of their fingertips all the time, right? So now, if anything, I feel like they have a slightly more unhealthy relationship with technology than we do.
I think so too. I think, it could be Instagram, it could be um, news, it could be anything, but they are as susceptible to losing themselves in the internet, in the phone, in all these different forms of. I don't know about video games; they probably don't play too much,
Yeah, probably.
but you know, just we have gone through that our whole lives. Like we've had Facebook for since we were 16, so we've understood messaging between people online for over a decade now. Very, very, and it was like a huge part of college, high school. I think for my senior year, it was a huge part. Before that, it wasn't too big, but college, Facebook was huge. I mean, our fraternity ran on Facebook.
Yeah.
So like we were used to like being able to communicate, set up forums, set up organizations, events. I mean, all the fraternal events were over Facebook too. So it's like we were using that. And I agree with you. I don't know. How do you feel? Do you think your relationship with technology, for me, especially over the last 5 years since I graduated college and like, gotten away from schooling, I've kind of, stepped back and, checked, maybe not consciously, but just like had a better understanding of my relationship with my phone and my computer than I did before. Do you like when how have you seen or felt that relationship with technology change in your lifetime?
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm not like a Zen master who's like never on his phone. Like I still
Oh
use,
yeah.
my phone, laptop, social media, like, really like a ton. Um, but still less than I used to. Like before it used to be like manic. I'd I'd be like, for example, you like go on like Reddit, be like, oh, I've already seen everything on the front page, and then just like still refresh it.
Crazy.
Or same thing with Instagram, like you've seen a
Instagram.
bunch of posts, you just like refresh it anyways. Now it's like I'm definitely like I'm having an easier time just like not doing that. Um, but yeah, I think you brought up a good point that like the older generation is, I wouldn't say like better or worse at like their relationship with technology, but like you said, they're just as susceptible, which
Yes.
definitely wasn't always the case.
No, it wasn't. I mean, when we were younger, it didn't seem like the case. We were the ones, playing video games. I was playing video games right when I got home, maybe even a half an hour before I went to school every single day, and I loved it.
Yeah,
It so it and it's going to be interesting to see how this works out with even Gen Zers who have had pretty intense technology for their entire lives. I mean, a lot of our development, the first 8 years, internet wasn't really a viable product. I
yeah,
remember I was 9 years old the first time I actually went on the internet. So if you had the internet since you were born, if you've had an iPad since you were like 3 or 4, that's a whole nother way of, you know, just living with those types of tools. And
yeah, definitely.
it'll be interesting to see how, they grow up into when they're our age, how what, you know, 12-year-olds today are going to be like in 15 years is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I honestly don't even know what the answer is going to look like at all. It could go like either way,
It could go
um,
either way.
or they could just be the exact same as us, just like in a kind of like different, slightly different like avenue.
That's true. I was they and there's that I feel like that could be the truth too. Like Gen Z and millennials are really similar to each other, and then Gen X and baby boomers are very similar to each other. I was watching a TED talk. I didn't finish it though, but the individual was talking about generations, and she said that these were all possibly, if I had finished it, I'd be able to speak to this better. But she was saying that generations aren't necessarily real and they're kind of fabrications. Like, do you believe? It got me thinking. I wish I continued watching that, but it did get me thinking. Like, maybe this whole generation thing isn't necessarily the way we should think about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's probably more like fluid than the way we currently think about it. You know, right now it's like in such strict boxes. We're like, oh, you're born in 1990, you're Gen X. Oh, you're born in 91, you're like, you're millennial, or I don't know what the actual dates are, but like, yeah, it's like right now it's like categorized by like the date you were born, right?
Yes.
Um, and that probably doesn't capture everything accurately.
No.
Um, but then at the same time, if you're trying to like generalize a massive group of people, maybe it does have some truth to it.
I think it does have some truth to it, and there are definitely intuitions to be gained by thinking in that way.
Hmm.
We are very, very embedded in that way of thinking, though.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
that is what everyone, the way everyone's thinking, and like there's no real question. So it was interesting to at least get the argument of possibly maybe there's a different way of thinking about it. I have to continue with that video and get back to you though.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting point though. Like so I remember one of the things we've consistently talked about through our friendship is like the fact that people are basically just a combination of their genetics and their environment, right? And
Yes.
so, currently the way we're structuring this generation thing is by the year you were born. And if you were born in the same year as someone, it means that your environment was likely more similar than if you were to compare yourself to someone born in a different time, right?
Yes.
So, like, that's like one part of the function that could eventually kind of over time make people adapt in similar ways.
Absolutely. One good example of that environment aspect is electric dance music festival culture.
Hmm.
That is super unique to like the environment of, I would say, Westerners our age, and that's pretty much it. If you're not a Westerner in a millennial that's, from the West, you probably don't love music festivals the way that you and I do.
Yeah, so I've actually seen some videos of like some massive festivals in like South Korea, Japan, like some Asian. India has a huge like electronic music festival kind
No
of scene too.
way. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
So like it's definitely expanding. But like what's interesting is like the way different like cultures like dance or like express themselves at the music festivals varies a lot.
Really? What are
Yeah,
some of the variations?
I think us Americans, we like to flail a lot more, like a lot of hand motions, a lot of like, just like a lot of movement. Whereas, in my opinion, like, I think Europeans are a little bit more like smooth with it, like kind of just like more like a sway side to side. And then I think, well, I haven't seen enough of any like Asian music festivals to really critique it, but I don't know. Keep an eye out. I definitely think people of different cultures or different like parts of the world like dance differently to the same music.
Oh, I bet. I can imagine like if a Japanese music festival, people being a lot more rigid than an American music festival.
A lot more reserved. Yeah, that would be my like guess as well.
Wow. Americans are not that reserved
At all.
at all. So, oh my God. It's great though. I really love it.
Same, man. Yeah, I definitely think there's something beautiful about it.
There is something beautiful about it. And, going back to your point, to what we're talking about, environment and genetics, and how being born within the same time frame may be a huge part of that environment aspect of who are you? It's a combination of your genetics and your environment.
Hmm.
And dang, I forgot where I was going to go with that.
No worries.
But it's Like, like for example, one I think another example of that environment thing is like Google for us.
Mhm.
We our whole way of thinking, like our whole way of going about work is completely different than older generations because we've had the search engine Google for most of our, working life. Like
Yeah.
all of college, we had Google, all of post college, we've had Google, and it has literally changed education completely. And
Yeah.
I don't think we realized it. I didn't realize it in college, like how much of a transformation in what I'm learning and how this university needs to teach me is transitioning because of the internet.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like our minds at this point are just programmed to think like if I don't know the answer to something, just like Google it and it's right there.
Yes.
Um, we don't have to bring any like books into the equation or like anything like that. It's like all like instant. And so it's a benefit to like self-learning and institutionalized learning, like you were just talking about. And probably like in the like of course like the internet has its like like we're saying like distractions, downsides, but like overwhelmingly positive. Like the impact that it's had on humanity is, I think it's like probably hands down the most like important human invention.
Yes. Maybe antibiotics is number one.
Antibiotics is huge. I'm also going to throw Excel in there.
Excel, Microsoft Excel.
I think severely underrated. I like modern business could not be conducted without Excel.
Nothing. No, it could not. Either neither of the places I have worked at could it have done their work without Excel. Or actually, now we use Google spreadsheets, but the same concept.
Right, you're right. Google spreadsheets couldn't exist without Excel, so we can
Exactly.
count it.
We'll count it. So we've got antibiotics, we've got the internet, and Excel.
And American football.
And American football is number one on that list for sure.
Hands
Number
down.
one. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time.
Oh man. Yeah, have you
Dude,
been I remember when I was down in San Diego, you were kind of phasing out of football. Have you been getting back into it at all?
I did get back into it. I had a roommate, Austin, and
Hmm.
he was, watching football at the time, so I was watching football. And Justin Herbert was super exciting for the
He's good.
Chargers, even though they lost just so much.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was like pretty classic Chargers season, but the and it's also a pretty classic way to end the season. We're like, oh, but next year, like,
it is a classic way to end the
yeah, like
season.
right now we're like, hey, all we need is a new head coach, and it's like problem solved. And then
Pro-
like next year, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, if we could just get like a better special teams, or like there's always something. There's always like one to two pieces missing.
Dude, that's the entire like 8 years Norv Turner was coaching. That exactly what you just said. Next year we get a better kicker, we get a better head coach, and we're set. We have the quarterback. We're good. Oh my god! Did you watch any football last year?
Yeah, I watched a pretty good amount. So actually this year I think I probably watched less than a typical year, but yeah, my football like operating model is, or really sports in general, is like it's best to like have one team that you just love to hate. And so that team for me is now the Chiefs and
You
Patrick
hate
Mahomes.
really?
I don't actually hate him or anything, but like it's like a sports hate, like a healthy, like, I don't want him to win, but like I respect the greatness. It used to be the
Yes.
Patriots, used to be Tom Brady, but now I got to go Chiefs.
Nice. I mean, Tom Brady's only got, like 3 or 4 more years. Mahomes might have 15 more years.
Yeah. And I think the reason is because like he can just throw like any regular pass, and the announcers like, "Oh, can you believe it?" Like they've really bought into Mahomes, like to the point where I find it annoying.
They did. The entire world did, or the entire country did buy into Mahomes. I heard they got rid of both of their starting offensive tackles. The
Oh,
two
really?
the two tackles that were injured in the Super Bowl. I heard they were both let go.
Wow.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out, how they're able to replace those tackles and keep him, out of pressure situations.
Yeah, definitely. He always makes space for himself, so I'm sure they're kind of counting on that. But not having a line is definitely a killer in this league.
It's a killer, and he's always had a really good line. Like his entire, the last every year he's been in the league, he's had a good line. So I don't know. I'm a Chargers fan, so I just want, them to be bad as well. That's a good one to hate. My team to hate is definitely the Raiders. It's not even close. Just like I enjoy Raiders losses more than I enjoy, maybe that's not true, but I really enjoy Raiders losses. And I have
That's fair.
friends. Yeah, I have friends too who are Raiders fans, so it's just really good to just bring that up to them.
Dude, I will say though, the Oakland sports scene is pretty great. Like I actually went to a Raiders Chargers game a couple years ago.
Really
And it really just has this like old school like feel where it's just like you feel like all the fans around you are like just like regular people, not like tech people or like executives or anything like that. Um I definitely feel like there's an authenticity to like the Raiders, or well, now they're in Vegas, so it's probably different. But like back when they're in Oakland, there's definitely like a really good like energy, like at the stadium. Um,
nice.
yeah, I only saw like two fights break out, so it was a pretty light day over there. But
Light day. What do they? Was that the Coliseum?
yep, it was at the Coliseum, and the A's for that matter are really fun to watch out there too.
Really?
Yeah, dude, the difference between an A's game and a Giants game is crazy. Like the Giants games are just like extremely corporate. Like most of the seats are filled by just people whose like companies got like an outing, and like there's like there with like a bunch of coworkers. Like the energy is pretty, I think,
Mellow.
pretty muted.
Got it.
Whereas like A's games is just like a bunch of regular people like just getting rowdy.
Hell yeah. And it's just super like vintage, like real.
Yeah, like run down, but like I kind of like that.
Yes, I understand. I like that too. I like that more than just it being so propped up that it's like too cookie cutter.
Yeah, I agree. I think sports are meant to be gritty. They're meant to be kind of like chaotic places. So like, you know, I think the old school places that kind of keep that going are, that's what I like much prefer.
Like the Packers Stadium, I believe is the only stadium that still has benches. It doesn't have chairs allocated to
Oh
each
wow.
seat. So like you don't get your own chair. You're just going to be seated in a space on a bench.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very gritty. Um, did you ever go to a Golden State game, the Warriors game?
Uh I did go to one. I did.
How
Um
was that? I
so
feel
in
like
the
that
NBA, the Warriors are the team I love to hate.
really
Yeah, it's
nice.
one because they were like super good, and like I was pretty salty about the KD thing. Um
So
but like
ridiculous.
yeah, two, it's just kind of fun to like, like up here there's just a bunch of Warriors fans, so it's fun just getting in like an argument with them, just like being like, go Lakers.
Go Lakers, dude. And the Lakers are second in the West right now
Yeah, I
to the
think so.
Jazz.
Yeah, the Jazz are killing it.
Wow, that's interesting. Sports, another event that's probably not gonna. I don't know. Do you think it's gonna come back this year? Probably.
Yeah, probably to like some capacity, because even at the Super Bowl they had a bunch of people there, just like less than typical.
Hopefully, when like the what when the majority of people are vaccinated, and then we'll have herd immunity.
Yeah,
That'll be the day.
that'll be the day. Oh, did they tear down Qualcomm?
Yes,
It's
it's
like
gone.
fully gone.
It's not fully gone. There's a small section left, There's a bunch of rubble everywhere, but I can't wait till it's torn down. They're gonna
What's
put
going up in its place?
San Diego State campus extension,
Wow.
and it's gonna have a huge park and then a small stadium for the SDSU football team
Mhm.
and and some more campus space like for their classes. But it's going to have a park, a stadium, and classes pretty much.
Okay. Honestly, it's probably better use of the space than fucking Qualcomm.
On the Yeah, there was parking lot was huge. It's just like
Yeah.
that was a huge parking lot. There's no football team here anymore. Petco is a really nice stadium, so there's no
Yeah.
need for the baseball team. Uh, we have a soccer team. Do you know that the San Diego Loyal?
No, I didn't.
They're coached by Landon Donovan.
Okay, that's pretty sweet. I remember signing like a like there was dudes like standing outside of like grocery stores trying to get like signatures to build that team. So I remember signing that back when I was in San Diego, but it's cool that they like materialized something out of it.
Was it to build that team or build the stadium?
Oh, that is a good point. It must have been for the stadium. So the team's probably been around then, huh?
Yes, because that vote was either to rebuild a new stadium for them or to build this SDSU campus.
Oh, I see.
And I remember there was a lot of people. I don't, it might not be the same, but there was a lot of people like doing, not petitions, but signing, just like sign saying, do you want this, stadium for a soccer team to come to San Diego?
Okay, that makes sense.
But we have one now.
Is it like fresh like this year?
I don't know. No, they played last year for sure.
Okay, and it's MLS, right?
MLS, yes. They had open tryouts.
Did you hit it up?
Dude, I was thinking about it. Oh my god, I would have made a fool of myself. It would have been too much, too much foolery for me. It would have been funny though. It cost $150 to try out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't like you just go there.
Yeah, that's how they keep guys like us out who like just want to fuck around and
Just want to see Landon Donovan, maybe get a picture with him,
yeah.
and that's it. Oh man, dude. Hopefully this can all normalize though soon, or at least except for the working in the office part. Everything normalized besides that.
Yeah, for sure. Like and so I mean like both of us like nature, like hiking, backpacking, and one of the like unintended consequences of COVID is that like everyone who like previously didn't really care about hiking and backpacking or anything like outdoorsy is now like flooding into nature. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like one, it can kind of suck that it's like getting like overcrowded sometimes. But then on the other hand, it's like it's good that more people are getting into like nature, the environment, and like hopefully that kind of spurs like kind of like an internal want for them to like protect it for other people too.
Absolutely. And it's a good thing. And for me, have you had any good did you have any good nature trips last year?
Dude, last year I actually got to oh whoa, wait. No, not 2020 was actually pretty like so-so, but like 2019 I went on like more backpacking trips than I've ever been on.
Oh, nice. Which ones?
Um, let's see. So we were all over. I think my favorite one was Lost Coast. It's basically this like 25-mile stretch of land, like maybe 5.5 hours north of San Francisco. And it's like it's just this like super like rugged like beach terrain. And like it was so rugged that instead of building like Highway 1, the PCH over it, they just like went around it. So now there's like this like untouched like stretch of coastline that you can hike like from point to point.
That sounds awesome. And you hiked that in 2019 or
Yeah, we did it
backpacked
in
that?
2019. Yeah, we backpacked it in 2019. So like it's only 25 miles, but the entire time you're walking on like sand, pebbles, like up to like big rocks. So like the whole weekend is just like an ankle breaker. Um
Wow.
and so basically there's parts of that coastline that are impassable during certain times of the day depending on the tide. So you need to have like a tide chart and like make sure that you're not in the impassable zone like at that time. And so what we did is we drove up like straight after or not straight after work. We left SF at like maybe like 11 p.m. and then got the idea was to get to the trailhead at like 5 a.m. and just immediately start hiking. Because like we didn't want to like take PT like too much PTO or anything like that. So we get there at 5 a.m. We like get to hiking. Like the lack of sleep, like it didn't really feel bad at the time, but like it definitely like impacted like judgment because we hiked for a while and eventually we're like looking at the map and like our map it's like really not like a map in like the true sense. Like it looked like it was made on like Microsoft Paint. um so it's just like, all right, we're past this like blob and like now like there's a impassable zone, whatever. We keep going. We thought we were past it, so we're like, oh hell yeah, let's let's have lunch. And so we just like sat down, had lunch, and then we start hiking again, and we start noticing the waves like creeping up, and there's like not that much room before there's like a wall, right? And we're like, oh dude, are we still in the impassable zone? And so we look at the map, like can't really tell, but like at this point, like the waves are like really getting up there, and we're like, oh yeah, we're like for sure in the impassable zone. So at that point, we all just started like running for our lives, like full
Yes.
backpacks and like everything, like on the sand. It was brutal, dude. And like we were running for like we weren't even close to being out of the impassable zone.
Oh,
So like it probably took us like maybe like another hour or so to get out of there.
that's rough.
And like so even though the whole thing is called the impassable zone, like some places are better than others. So like there's some places where you're like, all right, it's whatever. And then there's some places where like the rock is like just getting like beat up by waves. So you have to like there are times where like you wait there, you wait for the wave to recede, and then you just like run through before the next one comes. It was yeah, it was definitely one for the books. I got bricked by a couple waves, but I never like fell over anything. And so
Nice.
like we make like once you make it out of the zone, it's pretty apparent because like the space really opens up. And so like I just remember like turning that like corner and seeing like open space, and I just let out this like primal like yell, like just to like it just felt good, like I wasn't gonna die, right? And like I look over and there's like a few like other like campers in that area, and they're like, oh shit, you guys come from the impassable zone? And we're like, I'm just like sopping wet. I was like, yeah, it's a little wet out there. But yeah, we made it that time. But yeah, definitely maybe next time I'd either time it better or like maybe get a better map or something.
Oh man. What time did you pass the impassable zone?
I am not sure. I'm not sure at all. And the tide chart, like so basically like every day, like the tides are like roughly in the same window, but they change a few minutes each day. Um, so we got the tide chart and like we figured it would be clean. Um, but it like just wasn't. Like what we didn't do is we didn't print out the tide chart. We just like looked at it prior and we're like, oh yeah, like if we get there by 5, we should be good. And yeah, evidently like definitely should have been more prepared.
Dude, yes. It's good that you guys got there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. I recently downloaded last year, 2020, I went on a trip to Klamath National Forest,
Oh.
and it's like next to it's in Humboldt County,
Hmm.
and I went into the forest and I had no service and I felt so scared and unprepared, and just like not having the right maps and not knowing where you're going is like I understand why you let out that yell at the end. Like must have been pretty seems very stressful to have gone through that zone and not like realize you're there, and then like feel the waves coming up, and then like having to like run for an hour.
Yeah. It's like it's not really like a near death experience, but like I was definitely terrified for a while. Um, but
But
I don't know. I with nature, I typically feel like you have to like struggle to get like the good stories out of it. So I'm always happy to like go through a rough time. It's like it's actually like it's what it's all about.
I agree. I'm happy for it too. And I was going to say the same thing that you just said. Like it's really tough in the moment, but looking back on it, it's like, wow, we did that. We got through it, and we got through it.
Yeah, definitely.
This
So
what
how was Klamath?
Klamath was great. Klamath was great. Super rivery. You know, I had any, you know, desire, like it made me want to actually learn how to raft,
Mhm.
or actually maybe even maybe not raft but canoe, some sort of water flotation activity.
That makes sense.
It was really green. um I was hunting, there was a bunch of bears everywhere.
Oh, did you bag anything?
Yeah, I bagged a deer.
Dude, nice. So I remember talking to you like when you were like not just when you were getting into archery, but like when you were getting to the point where like I want to make a trip. So that's sweet that you like went for it.
I went for it, got it done. It was really tough, it was really scary. So like I was trying to like learn backpacking and hunting and all these different things at one time, and it was very tough. um I'm excited to go with Asha hunting soon, because in California it's legal to hunt with your dogs, deer, birds, pigs, and I think me and her might go hunting pigs soon in
In in
April
California?
in California, in Monterey County.
Wow.
There's a bunch in Monterey County.
Interesting. So once you like get one, like what do you do with it?
The first thing you legally have to do is you have to tag it. once you Once it's dead, and you have to tag it. With a pig it's not a big deal, but with birds, or maybe with a pig you still have to keep it on, but with deer and birds you have to keep identification of sex. But from there you skin it, and skinning gets really really tough. Like, and I did it really incorrectly. Like, there was this one point where I was skinning the back, or cutting out the back ham, and I punctured the colon, and then
Oh no.
the fecal matter started spilling onto the meat, and it was just like, it was disgusting. It was really disgusting, and so I just cut out that meat and then cut off, you know, the clean part and bagged that. Eating it was amazing. Eating it
Really?
was awesome. Like, because there were times where I'd put it. Have you heard of an instant pot?
Yeah.
So I put like the shanks or the shoulders, which are like super tough. It's like slow cooking, not like a steak or anything. And those were delicious. Like, with like the tendon that it's just like broken down. So it's like biting off, and eating it was awesome. The whole act of hunting it was awesome. Um, I wasn't able to get it on the first shot, so I had to go up to it and take care of it in person,
Uh-huh.
which was really intense. I had to actually track it because I didn't hit it on the first shot, and then it went into rose bushes, thorn bushes. I had to crawl in there, found her. Then she saw me, ran off again, and then I had to go find again.
Wow.
It was really nuts.
That's crazy, man. And so one like how many pounds of meat are you walking away with there?
Dude, that was like, I did not do a good job of skinning it. If I had
Uh-huh.
skinned it properly, I maybe could have gotten another 20, 30 pounds of meat, but I probably got 30 pounds of meat
That's
because
wild.
it was wild. I cut myself at one point when I was cutting it. So I left a shoulder there. I shouldn't have left it there. I should have taken that. I left neck meat there. I shouldn't have left that there. And I left the head there. I shouldn't have left that there. I should have taken that as well. But it was just such an intense moment that I was just like, I need to just, and it took hours to skin and do all this. I've checked out videos now
Uh-huh.
to make it a lot simpler. Like, if I did this now, like, I think I'd be able to, like, you know, you go for the anus, you cut a hole around the rectum, you separate the rectum from the bone, then you go up from there, open up the stomach. I There's a process that I've kind of learned how to take out the guts, and then once you have the guts out, you can work from there. And
I
just,
see.
but I didn't take out the guts first. I just tried to take out the meat first, which was
Mhm.
the huge issue. Like, you take out the guts completely, then you have all the meat in one place, and you have your gut pile somewhere else and you can just discard that.
That makes sense. And so was this Klamath deer your first kill?
Yes,
Did it like invoke any emotion that like you weren't like what was it like? Like how did it feel?
natural. The
And
best way. What
I'm sure like it amplified the like eating experience too, right? Where it's like I like hunted this.
it did, it was it was incredible to see like a full cut of meat, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
the shoulder, like I saw everything, like from here to here. That was the whole cut of meat, and it was awesome to see. Or like eating it was very, very rewarding.
Mhm.
Just being able to like sustain yourself with meals that you hunted, but processing it was like really just like, all right, here we go. I'm going to turn this animal into food. Boom. And it was an experience. Definitely worth trying once.
Yeah, for sure. I'd definitely be open to that kind of experience.
With a
It's
rifle,
like
I mean, it's not too hard. I mean, it's especially in your area, like you can just go into Tahoe, find one real easy.
wow.
But
Yeah, like I mean I'd be interested, like I think we're so like removed from what we eat. Like I think just to like really like understand, like what it takes to like get this meat that we like have readily available all the time. Like I think it's kind of important for me to like kind of go through that experience and really get an understanding of it.
it it could be important, and I think it's definitely like a lot of fun. Like what you said regarding getting through the immutables. Is that what they called? What type of zone is that? The
Oh,
impassable
the impassable zone. Yeah, yeah.
impassable zone. It's kind of like that. And it's like another sense of immersing yourself in nature and putting yourself in a challenge and like seeing if you want to get through that challenge. Because
I totally feel that.
it
And that's what that immersion is a really good way to put it, right? Like, it's like you start hiking, you're like, how can I go one deeper? You car camp one deeper, backpacking, next hunting, I don't know.
exactly hunting, or for other people, rock climbing. I mean, for people who do like actual rock climbing or something, like sleeping on the face of a rock wall,
Yeah,
like that's you they win, you know?
it's
Like
nutty.
it is so nutty.
Yeah, and like with rock climbing especially, there's this like sense of kind of like at the end of the day, you're like trusting equipment. Um, but I mean, the equipment is so well made, and like the sport has, it integrates that like ideology of like redundancy, and like at the end of the day, it actually is pretty safe if you do everything correctly. But there's still this like mental barrier, or like this mental like, or just like a thought that like crosses my mind a lot. Like I'll climb on occasion. I'm not like super avid on it, but a lot of my friends do, so sometimes I'll join. And sometimes I have that thought where I'm like wow, like I'm basically just like trusting a rope, or like trusting like a carabiner to some extent. Um, but still, it's so much fun. I don't think that's gonna stop me from doing it.
No, it's so much fun. And that is one gym that is not, that's like all the gyms in San Diego have returned except for climbing gyms.
Really,
Yeah, you can go into the UFC gym, you can go into a jujitsu gym, you can go, well, I don't know if the jujitsu gym is actually allowed to be open, but or you can go into a regular gym, but the climbing gyms are closed still. They're pretty not sanitary,
yeah.
honestly.
I mean, I would think any gym is not that
I
sanitary.
agree too. I Yes, but there's a lot of I've actually gotten some, like, I don't, they're very small warts on my hands
Uh huh.
from climbing.
Oh, like calluses or like straight up warts.
No, like straight up warts, not calluses.
Uh
Like
huh.
just like because I didn't wash my hands right after coming back from the
Oh, I
gym,
see.
and there's a lot of like dead skin, and Andre told me this. He was like, "Yeah, dude, you have to wash your hands every single time you go out there because there's just a bunch of crap on those rocks."
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's yeah, it's I doubt like they're gonna sanitize it that frequently. It's like sounds like a pain.
No, for that, I mean, because there's so like I think the one difference for like a gym, it's like you have a bench bar or you have like different stations, then you can wipe down those stations. But it's like you want to clean that one rock up 12 feet up in the air and then clean every single one and then
Yeah, they're just like fuck it, just wash your hands after. It's
just
cool.
wash your hands or we're going to close this whole place.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Anmol, it's been great to have you on. Is there Are there any last words you'd like to tell the audience or you have for everyone?
I just want to say thanks for having me, man. It's always a good conversation with you, and hopefully you can just chat again soon. Let me know if you're ever up here in SF, and I'm definitely gonna do the same for San Diego.
Dude, I will definitely let you know. I'm planning on actually being up in the northern part of the state later this, you know, like later this
Like
year. So
April or
I'll
something.
let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let me know. I'll be here. I'm not really going anywhere, so yeah, if you want to stop by, you're always welcome. Yeah, can't wait to kick it again, man.
Awesome. We'll do that soon. Thanks for coming on.
All right, cheers, man. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Cheers.